Good friend to me, because when I sat down with him in January, long before I endorsed him, I met somebody who I knew was ready to be President of the United States. And so today, under this shining sun, with the Red Sox nation ascendant, it is my great pleasure to introduce the next President of the United States, Barack Obama.
Thank you. What a spectacular day in Concord. Thank you so much. It is wonderful to see you guys. Congratulations on the Red Sox. My White Sox are going to start over next year. What's been inspiring is not just the size of the crowds, but it's the makeup of the crowds, because they're people from all walks of life. They're rich people and poor people. They're young and they're old. They're black, white, Hispanic, Asian, Native American, disabled, gay, straight, you name it. They're Democrats, independents, and even some Republicans. I know this because sometimes they whisper to me. They say, Barack, I'm a Republican, but I support you. And I say, that's okay, you don't have to whisper. Be proud. We are glad to have you. And when I see these crowds, what it tells me is that, you know, in a time when we're told that the country is inevitably divided between red states and blue states, that we have to fight the same partisan battles over and over and over again, that the American people have a different vision for the country. You know, what's wrong with this country is not the American people. The American people aren't the problem, they're the answer, but the problem is Washington is not listening to the American people. And our job in this election is to get Washington to finally listen. Now, part of the reason that people are coming out, let's face it, is they're frustrated with George Bush and Dick Cheney. And they want to bring an end to what we've seen over the last 6 years. An administration that treats our Constitution as a nuisance to be avoided, as opposed to the foundation of our liberty and the foundation of our democracy. An administration that has widened the gap between rich and poor, encouraging trends where CEOs are making more in 10 minutes than ordinary people are making in a year. Folks are trying to figure out how to fill up their gas tank, or save for their child's college education, or save for their own retirement, and they hear a White House that says, you are on your own. They're frustrated at the sight of our fellow citizens 2 years ago standing on rooftops after a storm without water, without food, without rescue, and they say to themselves, that's not who we are as Americans. And most of all, they're fed up with a war that should have never been authorized and should have never been waged. It's cost us $500 billion so far, and thousands of lives, and has not made us more safe. It's diminished our standing in the world. So people are coming out in part just as a reaction to the Bush-Cheney administration. But most of you who are here, you don't want to just be against something, you want to be for something. you want to feel that it's still possible for us to rally around a common purpose, to rally around a common destiny. I think many of us understand that Bush and Cheney may have perfected the art of special interest-driven partisan politics, but they didn't invent it. It was there before they came into office, and if we don't stand up in this election and insist on a different kind of politics, it could be there well after this election. It's not enough just to change political parties in the White House. We've got to change our politics. That's what this election is all about. And if you doubt that, think about it. Think about it. We have been talking about health care reform for decades now, through Democratic and Republican administrations, and yet nothing happens. And we know why that is, because the drug companies and the insurance companies have spent $1 billion over the last 10 years lobbying against reform. And if we just accept the status quo, then they will spend another $1 billion, and we will be waiting 4 years from now for health care reform. Think about energy. We've been talking since the 70s about relieving ourselves from our dependence on foreign oil. And yet year after year after year, nothing is done. And why is that? Well, of course, when Dick Cheney decides as the energy czar for the Bush administration to meet with the environmental groups once, the renewable energy groups once, and then the gas and oil companies 40 times, it's not surprising that we're not getting serious relief. But it's not just the Republicans that play that game. In fact, there are those who tout their experience working the system as their qualification for being the next president. And what I have to remind people of is that the system has not been working for us. Now, people say you need somebody who knows how to play the game in Washington. The problem is exactly that. They play a game, and politics shouldn't be a game. Not when people are feeling the kind of urgency that they're feeling. Not when they're hoping to be able to see their children educated and compete in a global economy and save this planet from global warming and do something serious about health care. Those aren't games to be played. Not when young men and women are dying on the battlefields of Iraq. That's not sport. That's not a game. We don't need somebody who can play the game better. We need to put an end to the game playing. The times are too serious, and the stakes are too high. It goes to show you, one voice can change a room. And if one voice can change a room, it can change a city. And if it can change a city, it can change a state. And if a voice can change a state, it can change a country. And if it can change a country, it can change the world. So, are you fired up? Ready to go? Fired up? Ready to go? Fired up? Ready to go? Let's go change the world.